a bit more brief in answers than I budgeted time for. So I have a finishing, what I call a lightning round. It's a single question that I'd like you all to go right down the line and answer. And after that, it looks as though perhaps we have some audience question. We have some time. Would you all agree to accept questions from the audience? Okay. I've heard there's some pretty awesome cookies in the back. I mean, it's a toss-up between audience questions and cookie time, but we'll start, of course, with you, Mrs. Curatolo. So here's the question. And since you have given yourself so much time, I was going to say 1 or 2 sentences. Feel free to take you 3 minutes. Here's the question. If you are elected, what is your #1 goal for the Collier County School Board during your tenure?
In the upcoming election, my #1 priority is to balance the budget, passing a referendum, and not to take away any of our student services that we currently offer. I would also like to go back to the issue of 7 board members and let the audience know some of the facts on this issue. One is that the school board determines the rate of pay for school board members. If we were to vote to take 20% in our pay, we could certainly expand the board without financial commitment to do so. So I wanted to clarify that. This issue was not brought to the table as a financial issue, but brought to the table to provide more input from our community on our school board. One of the options is 2 at-large members. However, there are other options that could be brought to the table for a vote by the school board. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Question was that, what would I do when I get elected? #1 goal. Well, first of all, thank you everybody for being here and listening. The first thing that I would do, being that our election is going to be over August 26th, is I have 2 solid months to get up to date on everything I need to get up to that I feel I'm lacking. I know there are things that I don't know a lot about, but I know I have common sense. I know I can work with people. My business experience shows that my communication level with people, with issues that are important, I can work through. So what I'm going to do is get trained properly to work on a board in an effective manner. So I will be involved in going to the administration, getting familiar with all the different aspects of it, something that we need to do as newcomers to get involved right away. So those 2 months will get me a head start that I need to be proactive. Being that I'm retired, I have the time to do this full-time, and I will dedicate full-time to this job. I will still volunteer in the schools like I do, and in the community. So I'm going to be well-rounded with that. Thank you.
My #1 focus is student achievement and development. Academics and a well-rounded child who can, #1, have the facts and the basics, and then develop that into applying that information in critical decision-making and thinking. And I think that's what we all want for our children. At the same time, I have a fiduciary relationship with taxpayers, and more money doesn't necessarily mean better, but we need to be smarter. And when we're facing the cuts and still wanting to focus on academics, we have to make the hard decisions. Somebody called me the other day because she didn't know me, and she said, I saw that you were quoted as saying, your job is not to save jobs. My constitutional job is to provide the best education, well-rounded education for as many students, all of our students, the best way we can, and to do it most cost-effectively. And we had a long conversation, she and I, and her grandchildren went to Seagate, and I asked her if there were 4 buses going to Seagate, but they were not full, and you could bus the children with 2 buses. Would you make that decision, or would you continue to have 4 buses that are partially full and pay for those? And she said, well, of course, there is no decision to be made, you would want to save that money and put it in the classroom. And so it was a misnomer that when we made this, or misinformation that when we're making a decision, for instance, to provide the education, but to do it in a streamlined fashion by saving some money, that a lot of people were going to be hurt and out of jobs. For every job that's available right now, we have hundreds of people applying. And we have a decision right now that it gives us the possibility of everyone being offered a job. And no, it won't be at the same pay, and no, it won't be at the same health care benefit that we've all talked about here. But they will have a job, they will have opportunity for moving up. The people who have developed some of these companies started as custodians themselves. And to me, that's a very fair way to keep the money focused on our students, their academic achievement, their full, well-rounded development. But I have a relationship with our public, and I have to use your tax dollars as wisely as I can. Thank you.
If elected for the seat on the school board, District 4, my primary focus would be, at a bare minimum, maintaining the current level of education that's provided to our students. I think we can always work towards providing them a better standard of education, but this needs to be a bare minimum. I also think that I would move towards addressing with the other board members the issue of the accreditation, making sure that we all understood what governance is all about and what teamwork is all about and what our primary focus is in terms of being here to serve the children, to serve the community. Education is why we are all working for this purpose. I think it's also important to identify that we don't necessarily need to have 7 board members. We need to have 5 good board members. I don't think that you necessarily get better results because you have more. I think you get better results because you have quality, and that's what I would serve to do.
Well, when elected during my 4 years, I want to focus on making this county the best education system in the state of Florida. 15, 20 years ago, we were recognized as one of the leaders. And I think it's time that we get back to that same level as being recognized in this state for a leader in education, a leader in innovation, and a leader for doing what's right for our students. And if we do that, accreditation will not be an issue. We will have ensured that every student in this county would have access to a quality education. We would ensure that the governance of the board would have been taken care of, and we would be recognized as a leader in the state instead of now being looked upon as having our accreditation being warranted. We would now be the leaders of the state, asked to come to Tallahassee to present and be a role model for the rest of the state and the rest of the school district. So I'd like to see us, there's a lot of goals, there's a lot of things we all want to accomplish. But in my 4 years, I would hope that we would get back to being that leader and Collier County be once again #1 in the state in the performance and education of our students.
Would you like to hear the question again? Are you ready? Okay.
If I'm elected, my first duties is going to go out to the public, meet with all city and county leaders, all civic leaders, talk to teachers, talk to parents, talk to students, and take all this information back to the board and present it and see if we can't come up with the solutions we need. We need input from everybody in our school system. You can't do it by yourself. We need input from everybody. We take this input, we sort out what we need, and we put it to work. And we get our school system back where it needs to be. If the board works together and works with the superintendent, our accreditation is there. We don't have to do anything else.